Hello everyone, and welcome back to another marvelous video. HBO is dropping a brand new prequel series called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms on January 18th, 2026, and while Duncan the Tall gets all the armor and glory, today we'll be talking about Egg, the scrappy bald kid who's secretly Aegon Targaryen. He might look small and harmless, but don't let that fool you. This little prince in disguise travels with Dunk, learns everything about knighthood on the road, and quietly shapes the man he will become and eventually the king he was never supposed to be. From his clever disguises to his life-saving decisions, Egg's story is full of surprises, lessons, and moments that make you realize just how unlikely heroes can be. So pull on that old Game of Thrones sweater and sit back as we take a look at 10 insane facts about Egg. Anyways, before we get too deep into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Egg is Aegon Targaryen, later called Aegon the Unlikely. So the first thing we all know about Egg is that he isn't just some random bald kid running around helping Dunk, he's actually Aegon Targaryen, who eventually becomes King Aegon V. People call him the Unlikely, and it's not just for fun, it's because nobody expected him to ever sit on the Iron Throne. He's way down the line of succession, a fourth son of a fourth son, and the chances of him becoming king were basically zero. That nickname tells you everything about his story because it's all about surprises. The boy who looks like a scrappy stable hand ends up making decisions that affect the entire Seven Kingdoms. It's one of those moments in the Game of Thrones lore that makes you stand back and go, wow. The cool part is that you can see the seeds of that unlikely king in his younger self while he's riding with Duncan, learning what it really means to be honorable and smart without any of the privilege he was technically born into. He was born a fourth son and very low in the succession. Aegon's position in the family is exactly what makes him so memorable. He was the fourth son and fifth child of Prince Maekar Targaryen, which meant that when he was born, nobody ever thought he would rule. He wasn't supposed to inherit anything, which is probably why he learned to be clever and cautious from the start. Imagine being born into one of the most powerful families in Westeros and already being considered practically irrelevant. That status shaped him a lot because he had to fight for notice without being able to rely on brute power or sheer fame. It also meant that he got to grow up in a weird mix of privilege and anonymity, learning the world from a side that princes usually never see. You can already tell that later, when he becomes king, he has this empathy for common people and a desire to get things right because he knows what it's like to be overlooked and underestimated. Those early years in the shadows really made him who he was. A dragon egg was placed in his cradle as a baby. In true Targaryen fashion, the moment Egg was born, he got a dragon egg in his cradle. That sounds amazing, but also a little terrifying if you ask us. That egg wasn't just there for show, it's part of why he grew up thinking big and dreaming about the kind of magic and power his family believed they could control. It also connects him to the later Summerhill tragedy because his fascination with dragons and trying to bring them back is what eventually gets him into trouble. Even as a kid, carrying around that egg must have been like a tiny reminder that he was different, destined for something beyond just being a prince who eats cake and waves at crowds. It's a small detail, but one that follows him his whole life and makes the legend of Egg even more interesting. He served incognito as Dunk's squire under the name Egg. Even though we know Egg is actually Aegon Targaryen, he still had to keep that secret while he was traveling with Dunk. Being a prince in the open could have gotten him kidnapped, bullied, or worse, used as a pawn by ambitious nobles. So he pretends to be a scrappy, bald stable boy and picks the name Egg, probably because it's small, round, and completely unassuming, the last thing anybody would connect to royalty. Tagging along with Dunk gave him the chance to learn the real world without anyone spoiling him with courtly luxuries. He learned how to fight, ride, think on his feet, and protect those who couldn't defend themselves. At the same time, Dunk treated him just like any other squire, never giving him special treatment, and that's exactly what shaped Egg into the fair, grounded, and clever ruler he would become. It's amazing to see how traveling in disguise with Dunk would become his unofficial school of leadership. He revealed his royal identity to save Dunk at Ashford. Egg isn't just a passive sidekick, there's this iconic moment at the Ashford tourney when Dunk gets into serious trouble. Prince Aegon Targaryen is being a total nightmare, harassing people, and Dunk stands up for the right person, which of course puts him in danger with a real Targaryen. That's when Egg has to drop the act. He reveals he's actually Aegon Targaryen to prevent Dunk from being crushed by royal wrath. Can you imagine the look on Dunk's face? The scrappy bald squire who was always cleaning his boots suddenly turns out to be a prince. That reveal doesn't just save Dunk's life, it cements their bond forever. This moment is where you see his brains and heart in perfect balance, and it's also why people remember Egg as clever, loyal, and far more capable than his youthful appearance would suggest. He helped pick Dunk's sigil, a shooting star above an elm. Here's a quieter, sweeter moment between the two of them. When Dunk needs a sigil, there's no family crest waiting for him, so he gets to pick something that represents who he is. Egg, the tiny bald prince in disguise, is right there beside him. They camp by a pool one night, watch the stars, and Egg suggests a shooting star above an elm tree. Dunk loves it, and that becomes his personal sigil. It's such a small thing, but it says a lot about both of them. The elm is steady, grounded, humble, and the star is fleeting, bright, and full of hope, just like Dunk and Egg themselves. It's also a reminder that while Egg is pretending to be someone else, he's shaping history quietly in the background. That little suggestion ends up defining Dunk's knightly identity and becomes a symbol whispered about in stories for years. It's friendship, mentorship, and destiny all rolled into one tiny emblem. His time on the road with Dunk shaped his outlook on ruling. Traveling with Dunk wasn't just about learning how to ride or swing a sword, it was an education in life itself. Egg saw how Dunk treated every person he met with fairness and respect, no matter their status. He slept in stables, ate what he could find, and learned that honor wasn't something written on a scroll, it was about action, about how you treated people when nobody was watching. Those years on the road were like a school that Egg couldn't have gotten at court, surrounded by sycophants and advisors who only cared about appearances. Seeing Dunk actually fight for the weak, get into ridiculous scrapes, and still maintain his integrity shaped the way Egg thought about leadership. He learned that ruling wasn't about being feared, it was about being just and dependable. That experience stuck with him and influenced almost every decision he made once he eventually became king. Egg became king after a great council and was reform-minded. Egg's rise to the throne is as unlikely as his nickname suggests. After Maekar's death, a great council chose him to be king because, despite being so low in the line of succession, he had proven himself wise, fair, and capable. Once on the throne, Egg focused on making life better for the people who actually lived in Westeros rather than just the nobles. He worked on policies and marriages that helped stabilize the realm, and he tried to curb some of the more dangerous traditions of his family, like excessive courtly extravagance. He wasn't perfect, and the details of his reforms aren't fully laid out in the histories, but it's clear that Egg cared about ruling well. His family choices reshaped Westeros' bloodline. Egg didn't just rule, he thought about how his family's marriages could affect the realm. He married Bertha Blackwood for love, which was unusual for a Targaryen, and arranged political marriages for his children to strengthen alliances and stabilize the kingdom. One of his daughters, Rhaelle, married into House Baratheon, which ended up connecting him to key figures throughout Westeros' history, including Robert Baratheon generations later. Egg's careful choices show he was strategic without being cold. He balanced love, loyalty, and politics in a way that would shape the realm long after he was gone. Even a casual observer could see that Egg's reign wasn't just about surviving, it was about leaving a mark that would matter for decades. It's fascinating to see a king who learned so much from a hedge knight use those lessons to influence the course of history. Egg died at the tragedy of Summerhall while trying to bring back dragons. Every story has an ending, and Egg's is as dramatic as you can imagine. The tragedy of Summerhall was a catastrophic attempt to hatch dragon eggs using wildfire and Targaryen sorcery, which went horribly wrong. Egg died in the flames alongside his buddy Dunk and other members of the royal family, trying to make dragons return to the world. The details are hazy and mysterious, which is exactly how George R.R. Martin likes it, but it's clear that Egg rushed headlong into danger in the name of his family and his dreams for Westeros. It's such a fitting end for someone who spent his life learning from Dunk, defending the weak, and always trying to do the right thing. The fire may have taken his life, but it couldn't take the legacy he left behind. People remember Egg not just as a king, but as a prince who grew up bald and scrappy, squired for a hedge knight, and became someone worth telling stories about for generations. Marvelous verdict. Fortunately, that's the end of our video. Egg is one of those characters who surprises you at every turn. From a lowly stable boy traveling with Dunk to becoming king, he proves that courage, wit, and loyalty can shape history more than birthright alone. His time on the road taught him bravery and compassion, shaping him into a king who cared about people, family, the future of Westeros. The story of Egg reminds us that even someone who seems unlikely can leave a lasting legacy, and that the smallest choices, like a nickname, a dragon egg, or helping a friend, can echo across generations. If you're as fascinated by Egg as we are and want to hear more about his upcoming HBO prequel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and let us know in the comments which facts surprised you the most so that we, remember to keep doing videos on this topic. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.